Hello everyone, today's video is about line number 6 of the Imposter Complex. I lose track, I give them numbers, I'll have to write a book someday. I know my good friend and colleague Corey Wamsley can help me with that, but for now I'm just gonna give him a number. And this is all about that you should be somewhere that you're not, or you should have something that you don't. And the big one that I want to bring, the context that I want to use today is stages of business. I resisted for many years being a new business. Excuse me. I resisted being a startup. I resisted being new on the block. I resisted all that. I wanted to be more established. I wanted to have a better reputation. I think I've had a good reputation. I guess we don't really know who's talking about it behind our backs, but I think I've had a good one. But I've always wanted to be farther ahead than I was. And recently I hit about the 4-year mark in my business. I was a coach for many years before. I've had a lot of experience before, but this version of my energy clearing work, my belief clearing work as an intuitive business coach, this has been about 4 years. And I made myself a certificate to say that I've graduated with a bachelor's in business, in online business, because I realized none of us, we don't really have anyone to do that for us if we are actual entrepreneurs. If you go to business school, of course you get that, but if you decided to go into business for yourself, you don't get that. You have to give it to yourself. But I resisted being in that first stage. But that makes it really hard. Excuse me. It makes it really hard to diagnose the challenge and get the right solution for that challenge. So the imposter complex, the imposter syndrome, loves anytime that you are resisting where you are and trying to be somewhere that you're not, or trying to be someone that you're not. So if you're struggling in your business, if you're a coach or a healer or even an artist, creative professional, if you're struggling, take a look and see, are you trying to be somewhere that you're not? Or are you trying to be someone that you're not? That's probably going on. If you're in resistance today, or this week, or this month, then that's a piece of it. So there are 3 main stages that I want to briefly talk about. The first stage is procrastination. The second stage is burnout. The third stage is feeling jaded about marketing, or feeling jaded about the way forward. So I have found that these are the 3 main problems that I help to solve for healers and coaches and sometimes artists that are growing their business online. And I noticed that over the years as I've developed these or gotten more clarity on them, that they correlate perfectly with the stages of business. So if you're primarily stuck in procrastination, you're probably in your first 3 years of business, 3 to 5 years. If you're primarily dealing with burnout, you're probably somewhere between 3 and 10 years. And if you're dealing with feeling jaded about marketing, that you don't want to do lots of video if you're not a video person, or you don't want to do the free 5-day challenges if you're already kind of past that in your business model, you're feeling jaded about marketing, you're 10 years or plus, 10 years or more in your business. So if you're in the first stage, but you're trying to jump to the third stage and you're addressing the wrong problem, or it's trying to bench lift 200 pounds before you've learned what is a bench press, and resisting that stage of business that you're at. And the imposter complex loves that. It loves it when you try to deal with the wrong problem, because then you get overwhelmed. It makes the procrastination worse, or the burnout worse. It makes the inner critic, it gives the inner critic just so much more fuel for the fire, because you're not addressing the actual challenge that you're facing. So take a look at a couple things. One, how many years have you actually been really focused? It doesn't have to be full-time, although that could be an indicator, but you've been really focused on the same business, the same niche, the same group that you serve, or the same problem that you solve or solution that you offer. How long have you been actually focused on that same thing? If it's anywhere up to 3 years, probably you're dealing with first stage, procrastination. The biggest problem about that, or the biggest belief clearing that I do with businesses that are in that stage, is the fear of judgment. If you be fully yourself, what will people think? What will people say? Now, that fear of judgment I don't think ever goes away, because all of my clients that are in the second stage and the third stage, they're still dealing with that. It's just in a different way. It's often more nuanced. When you're in those first 3 years of business, it's not nuanced. It's in your face. It's like the alien in the movies, just latched onto your face. You can't get it off. So until you deal with that, you can't move into the next stage of business. Oh, hello. I don't even know what kind of bug that is. It just hovered in my face like a hummingbird, but it was a bug. That was so cool. So you can't get past procrastination until you deal with it head on. And the main source that I see for procrastination is that fear of judgment. What will people think? They'll say, who do you think you are? So until you deal with that, you can't move on to the next stage. Now, the next stage is burnout. And the burnout is all about the 8 pillars of the imposter complex. And yes, there are 8 pillars. I hate to tell you, it's not just about believing in yourself. It's not just about owning your expertise. There are 8 pillars to this imposter complex. And as you deal with them all and put business practices in place, so for example, if you're having a hard time owning your expertise, go and gather your top 10 testimonials. If you don't have those on hand, easily referenceable, it's hard to own your expertise. It's hard to really shut down that imposter complex voice, that inner critic voice. So in the second stage of burnout, there are specific practices for each of those 8 pillars. If it's burnout, there's a specific practice and belief clearing. If it's people-pleasing and overgiving or crappy boundaries, those are 2 different pillars. There are specific practices for those. And it's really hard to move past burnout if you constantly need to help other people, if you have a need to help other people. And then at the third stage, it's tough to move through that with grace if you're not clearly identifying the lies that you've been telling yourself. And we all do this at every, and all 3 of these stages, they all blend together. So they all apply to each stage. It just depends on which stage you're in, which area to focus on the most. So in this third stage, feeling jaded about marketing, there's a lie somewhere, that it's beneath you to do a 5-day challenge, or that you shouldn't have to play the popularity game online. Now, none of us should have to, but if you have that kind of belief or that kind of energy coming up, then yeah, you're going to feel pretty jaded about marketing. And those are just a few quick examples off the top of my head about how that third stage comes up. But for those individuals, the more experienced business owners, you need someone with you kind of step by step on a weekly call to say, hey, yep, I see that thing, you're lying to yourself. Or, yep, right there, you're out of alignment with yourself. That speeds up the process and makes it a little easier. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that can help to not fuel the fire of the imposter complex for you if you're in business. Address the right stage at the right time with the right tools, and you'll stop feeding that imposter complex. It'll stop being so much of a struggle and so much resistance. You'll have more ease and more joy and more lightness. So if you like this, please comment below. Let me know if this clicked for you. Also, please share it with anyone that you think could use this. If you know someone in that first or second stage of business and they're in resistance or struggle or it's taking too long or they're not having fun, please send them this video and let's see if we can help them have a bit more ease and joy and lightness. Again, if you're tracking my garden growth each time I do these videos, that's where we're at. We've got the trellis up for the peas. The lettuce is doing beautifully. The carrots are growing. The cauliflower is getting, the leaves of the cauliflower is getting huge. And we're having a lot of fun. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye for now.